Okay, so I've been noticing that there's a little controversy going on in the Pokemon world, competitive Pokemon world, regarding some recent news that the Pokemon Company was going to be trying to crack down on some hackers in battle spot tournaments. And of course, recent news, I think broken actually by Ace of Hearts Gaming by way of one of our Major League Pokemon uh, competitors, Rommel Alexander, says that it's mainly going to be focused on cyber hackers as opposed to cyber savers as opposed to power savers. And, that's fine with me. I kind of like that idea, actually. I mean, it's the people who are, editing their Pokemon within the bounds of the game to make them legal but different, that's one thing. People who are outright hacking their Pokemon to make them broken in game terms, yeah, that's a problem. But there are people who are thinking that it's a great thing because they wanted to shut down power savers too, because they're like epic purists. People like Verlisify out there. And, admittedly, I'm not, one of the regular power saver kind of people. I'm very much a person who uses what he's got in the games. I pick the Pokemon that I like. I I do moveset builds the way I like them, and even in more recent editions, I super train them the way I like them. But I don't do much in the way of, you know, power saving and optimization. So I don't really have a horse in this fight, but what I do have a horse in is keeping the Pokemon community respectful. And it seems like in regards to power saving, that respect's already there. There's no one who's going, hardly anyone, I should say, rather, who's going to look down on anyone else for using power saves. Heck, the Pokemon that I used for the Pokemon World Cup, which admittedly did not win a single match, but still, I was just going to use them straight up as they were from X and Y and from Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire. But David, Ace of Hearts Gaming David, my little brother in every sense but the genetic, actually offered to power save them, to optimize them, to make sure that they had, the max competitive IVs that they could have and everything to get them ready for the World Cup. And to also help get the movesets and for some of them get Mega Stones that I was missing. And I I was like, I thought about it for a little while, and I'm like, you know what? Yeah, if I'm going into a major competition like this, it might not be a bad idea. You know, I realized that my Pokemon as they were probably weren't competitive ready, so if I wanted to not entirely embarrass myself in the Pokemon World Cup, which I would like to think I at least succeeded in that endeavor, that I would want to make sure that they were more competitively viable than I initially had them. So even though I have the digital copy, I traded them over to David. He did his thing, traded them back to me. So I've got a couple of good teams there. Sailors and Chivis are pretty good, especially in doubles. And of course, my beta team's even better. So, yeah, I don't have any problem with power savers. What I do have problems with are elitist jackasses. And that whole mentality that Verlisify is going on of, oh, you must never, ever even power save. You mustn't, you can't play the game that way. You absolutely cannot play the game that way. You're pure builder, nothing, That's not the way my game is played, No smoke on, only battle spot. That is just a pain in my ass. That is a pain in the Pokemon community's ass. And I've watched some of his videos. I used to be subscribed to him on YouTube. I'm not anymore. I used to follow him on Twitter. I don't anymore. Because honestly, while I get sometimes where he's coming from, his attitude is not the kind of attitude that we need in Pokemon. It's a video game. It's a freaking video game. And aside from that, I don't even think Game Freak really cares about that, because otherwise, why would that story have popped up about them mostly focusing on cyber hackers as opposed to power savers? Why would they be focusing on the kind of people who do silly things like make mega Milotics, make megas where there were none? Why would they be focusing primarily on that instead of people who are doing power saving? By the way, sorry for the camera being shaky. This is my cell phone camera, which I am holding in one hand, and I do not have the steadiest of hands. But you want to know what I think Game Freak's attitude and the Pokemon Company's attitude toward Pokemon is? And I have some kind of evidence for this. I've talked about this on casual mode before, but it bears repeating because it is very important. Consider the rivals from Pokemon X and Y. You have 4 rivals. You have whichever player character you did not pick out of Callum or Serena. You have Tierno, you have Shauna, and you have Trevor. And all of them have different personalities. You have Shauna or Serena or Callum, sorry, who are the more traditional rivals, but they're not antagonistic rivals. They're ones who are rivals against you to push their own capabilities. They're wanting to get themselves stronger. They're wanting to become better and better, more competitive. You have Trevor, who is the most obsessed with completing the Pokedex. He's the completionist style gamer. He wants to do all the things that can be done. You have Shauna, who just wants to have like a few Pokemon that she loves and build solid relationships with them. She's the heart kind of a gamer. And then you have Tierno, who just picks a bunch of Pokemon that he really likes because he just wants to have fun. He doesn't care about any end goals. He's just playing the game to have fun. He's the more casual. And in the game, he's actually kind of a dance battler, but he's the more casual, carefree kind of Pokemon player. Notice that nowhere in the story of X and Y do they ever beat down any of the other rivals for their playstyle. Not once. In fact, if anything, they are all supportive of each other. They all care about each other and want each other to be the best that they can be. Nowhere better is that evidenced in the touching scene where you're basically on your player character is basically, for lack of a better phrase, on a date with Shauna at the mansion, watching the fireworks, and they're talking about their different philosophies. She's talking about her philosophy of Pokemon, and she realizes it's not for everyone, but she she doesn't care, and she's glad that there's someone there to support her and encourage her. It's one of the most awesome scenes in Pokemon X and Y. And it's not there by accident. I honestly believe that this is Game Freak's way of saying, look, we realize that there are so many different ways to play this game. And we're not going to discourage you. As long as you're not outright trying to screw up all the things, like insert insert enemy team from whichever generation you prefer here. As long as you're not trying to do that, we want you to play the game your way. We'll put in things to make things easier for some of you, like we introduce super training to allow people to get into the competitive battle more easily. But if competitive battling still isn't your thing, don't feel discouraged. You're not wrong. That's what I think Game Freak's attitude is on it, which makes the attitude of people like Verlisify completely antithetical to what Game Freak is trying to do. I know, that's a strong statement to make, but it's a statement that does have to be made. Elitism is not something that deserves to be in video games. Some major companies, like Game Freak, like the Pokemon Company, are starting to work to make sure that the fun of the game still exists. What fun is it if you can go into a battle and come face to face with a Pokemon that someone has hacked to broken levels? Hacking one to be a little more competitive is one thing because they're still beatable. You can still beat power-saved Pokemon. In fact, that's pretty much what happens all the time in the Pokemon metagame. You don't have to power save your Pokemon all the time, and if you don't, you're not necessarily at a disadvantage. You can still come in and, on a good day, you can still come in, beat a power save team with a natural built team. That's not going to change. But someone comes in with a Cybersave team, with megas being pulled out of their asses, you can't combat that. And that's where the problem is. So, I stress this so many times. I hate elitism in all games. I absolutely hate it. And honestly, Verlisify's got a very elitist attitude towards Pokemon. That's why I don't watch his videos anymore. That's why I don't follow him on Twitter anymore. Because that's not the kind of attitude I want to have in my Pokemon world. I want the kind of attitude where, someone will offer to help you make your team better. Like my little brother did. I want the kind of world where after you have a close battle with someone, whether you win or lose, people compliment you and let you know what things you've done right and encourage you to do better. I experienced that quite a bit during the World Cup. I'm still not much of a competitive gamer. I've not had a serious competitive battle since the World Cup. And yet I would go back and go into another Major League Pokemon World Cup because of the experiences that I had in the Pokemon World Cup, because there's not any elitism there. And if it was flooded with people like Verlisify, I would not want to do any more competitive gaming, any more competitive battling at all, because they would have killed my enthusiasm for it. That's the bottom line for me, I don't like elitist attitudes, and by extension, I don't like Verlisify's attitude, because it reeks of the same kind of snobbery, for lack of a better phrase, that I've seen in MOBAs, MMOs, MUDs, collectible card games, etc., etc. It's that same level of awful. And I, for one, I don't like it. And I'm not going to put up with it. So, you know what? If you think I'm being, for lack of a better phrase, and I hate using this phraseology because it's a gendered insult, if you think I'm being a pussy, I don't care. If you think I'm being a weenie little whiner who can't play any games right, so he doesn't want anyone to be more powerful than him, I don't care what you think. That's not that's not what I'm trying to get at, but I still don't care what you think. I don't play games to lord over other people, and I don't think anyone ever should. I don't want to be this I don't want to be this titan on the mountaintop. I don't want to be a king of Olympus. You know? And if you want to be competitive, if you want to be the best at your game, that's fine, but just don't have a shitty attitude about it, okay? We understand each other? Good.